that it's very dangerous. Excuse me.
Hello, water service. Will I help you?
The phone rang at 11:26 a.m. It was Dale Van Valkenburg, one of my toughest cases. I knew the water shouldn't burn, but the water in the Van Valkenburg's new well had sent my own hanky up in flames a while back.
Now that's 405 feet deep. It's supposed to be
so
anyway.
we're not there yet.
But the water table is up higher, so I don't think it is. If I have burning water, boy, we have a new invention, right?
Yeah.
We're going to make a lot of money because everybody's got water.
Yeah.
Just hook the hose up to your, should we do it that close to the pipe, do you think? Oh, holy cow! Jesus. Oh my God. Yeah, well, there it is.
So there it is.
Yeah.
That's the well that they want you to drink.
That's the well they want to hook up and have us drink from. That's it.
Don't do it. We tested and came up with benzene, xylene, and toluene, gasoline in the well. And now this call was really upsetting me. Mr. Van Valkenburg told me that after 2 years of suffering and having a new well dug and tested and steamed out and tested again, that the Van Valkenburgs were still getting no satisfaction from the Department of Transportation. It was the DOT that was responsible for the oil spill cleanup.
I went into the hospital with lung bleeding. It was bleeding in 2 places. And during that period of time, Dr. Lutan ran a bunch of tests, and they found that I had water around my heart. Dr. Reppert was called in. He's a heart specialist. And he did an echocardiogram and found water. And I asked him directly what caused this. He said toxic fumes could be a cause of it. And we feel at this time that the Department of Transportation is liable under the amendment to the oil spill fund, which Mr. Hinchy pushed through. They are obligated to provide us clean water, and it's quite obvious that they're not doing it with drilling new wells.
I knew I had to see Stellato himself. It took me about an hour to drive to Albany. I figured the best thing to do was to just walk in and lay it out for him. Have you had any further testing since the last test in spring?
The last test we made is we made the test at Van Valkenburg's in July, and they had a test made at the same time. I read in the paper the results they got of their tests. We haven't got the official word back yet from our lab, but the test we took in July indicate that there is petroleum. There is evidence of petroleum, but not to the same numbers that was in their test.
I think that these people, if it's just one person right now, we're talking about Van Valkenburg, take him out. Get rid of him, buy the house.
Still taking pictures?
Yeah, I just started.
This case was bigger than both of us. Joe Stellato's job was cleanup only, and there didn't seem to be any way to clean up the Van V's well. Stellato recommended charcoal filters. Who's he kidding? They gotta monitor them, test them, and change them. This case was beginning to stink as bad as the water itself. After my visit, Stellato continued to try to clean up the well. And for 2 solid weeks, the DOT had the well pumped down and the casing steam cleaned. And then they took more tests, and so did I. My test results showed 1 part per billion toluene, a trace amount of a suspected carcinogen. Although under the maximum contamination levels set by the government, my advice was not to hook up, but to wait for further testing in the spring when rains washed the earth again. I decided to go find Hinchy.
I wish I could tell you. Their only recourse outside of that, as mentioned earlier, is to bring suit against those people who might have contaminated their well. And finding those people is a very difficult problem. And after you've found the possible people who are responsible, proving it in the court of law is also very hard to do. So you're absolutely right. What is at the root of this is questions of health, questions of people's health, the quality of their lives, and longevity.
Yes.
And, that's really at the core of this. That's why we need strong laws in this state and in this country that are going to protect water supplies. That's why the public ought to be very concerned about this issue. And they ought to know that there are people in the federal Congress and in the halls of the state legislature who are working to prevent the enactment of such laws.
Well, thank you very much, Maurice. I'm really glad that we had a chance to talk.
It's my pleasure.
I thought it was time to check in with the Van Valkenburgs. I called Anita Van Valkenburg, and we arranged to meet at the gas station on her corner.
Because, God forbid, if it got to the pumps, you figure it would all go up.
Yeah.
So I think I'd have to head for the woods.
I guess.
At least I know how I'm going to evacuate if anything happens. I'm getting weary. I'm not going to give up, but I'm getting very weary. And somebody said to me, and I think that really sums it up, the system is not working for me.
The point is, we cannot assume that a wise and benevolent officialdom is carefully watching over our air, food, and water, keeping us and our children safe. We cannot have faith that they will take care of everything. The simple, scary truth is, there is no they there. And what it means is, I want to be the they. I would like to see a they there. And that's what we're going for. For the lady in Hillsdale, for the lady in Palinville that was drinking chlorinated water, and her skin was green already, but when we got there to test her water, the frog, if you put a frog into boiling hot water, the frog will jump out of the boiling hot water and save its life. If you take that frog and put him into cold water and slowly raise the temperature of the water to boiling, he will stay there until he boiled to death. And that's the story of toxicity. This story is far from over. The health of the Van Valkenburgs is in jeopardy. Something has to be done, and we'll find a way to do it.
If the fumes would happen.
You wouldn't want to drop
Are you
down
ready to sing Nearer My God today?
You know I am. If you give me the words.
The rope is on fire.
So tune in next time as we join water detective Manny Katz in his campaign to clean up the tainted waters of the Catskills. You're watching Channel 6 in Woodstock.